We're live. It's the Revved Up 906 podcast, a Detroit Pistons podcast to be exact. And I'm Hudson.
And I'm Ryan.
And before we get into today's recap of Detroit Pistons versus the Houston Rockets, I want to give a quick shout out to our merch sponsor, Grind Clothing Co. You can go follow them on Instagram and find the links to all their new and latest drops. And then also our first drop. We have sweatshirt, t-shirts, and long sleeve shirts for solid prices. So you can rep Revved Up 906 in person, live out and about while you're shopping, doing your studies, whatever you do during your daily routine, you can rep your favorite Detroit Pistons podcast, Revved Up 906. So shout out Grind Clothing Co. Make sure to go follow them on Instagram. And if you want to conveniently find those links to our merch, you can go in the description below of this YouTube video. And you can also go to the bio of our YouTube channel. So make sure to leave a like and subscribe. And let's get into today's Revved Up recap. The final score of this close game was 117, the Houston Rockets, 114, the Detroit Pistons. Tonight, the Pistons' high score was Alec Burks with 21 points, Jaden Ivey with 7 rebounds, actually, and then Killian Hayes with 7 assists. What were some of your first takeaways from this game, Ryan?
Alec Burks was huge for us tonight. He was honestly the reason why we were even close. Because this game, we were off. We were sluggish a little bit. I don't know what was going on with that. It just offensively, we started off the game great. We had a great field goal percentage and everything going into halftime. But then as soon as the second half started, it just went downhill. And I'm trying to wrap my mind around what would have happened because we started off so good. We started off a game in which normally the outcome would be that we would win, but it just didn't end up like that tonight.
Yeah, the interesting part is going into the third quarter, the Houston Rockets had 38 points in the paint. So that is just not cutting it. There was also a point at the end of the second to about 5 minutes into the third quarter that the Pistons didn't score for a nearly 6-minute period. So that was another part of it. And I think something to do with that was Bojan. I mean, he finished with 18 points, but at that time he was kind of struggling. So when he goes cold in a game for long periods of time, the Pistons are also going to go cold. We've seen that in years past where there are a large amount of time that goes by with the Pistons without them scoring. And that's kind of been solved with having Bojan this year. We don't have as many cold streaks, but when Bojan has his cold streaks, that means that the Pistons are also going to have them. So that's just too long of a period to not score. You just can't have that happen. But it was nice to see Jaden Ivey kind of take the reins of the offense, kind of be that starting point guard, proving that he can be a solid passer with five assists tonight. Not bad. His overall stat line for Jaden Ivey was 16 points, 5 assists, 7 rebounds, 4 for 9 shooting, and 2 for 4 from the 3-point line. We're fine with that. Rookie Jaden Ivey, we can easily take that from him.
Yeah, as soon as Casey came out with the new starting 5 of Bogey, Bay, Duran, Ivey, and Burks, Ivey has been very ball dominant, and we've been seeing him in more of like in the Purdue days for him. And I'm really appreciative of that because we're finally seeing a guy who was drafted where he was for a reason. Everybody talked about him being a potential number 1 pick. He obviously didn't go there, but he could have. And just the fact that, it's just 16 points and it's just 5 assists, but you add in the 7 rebounds, a steal and a block, and how efficient he was tonight. It was easily the most efficient game he's played all season. And I think that's credit to the new lineup. Now, if Killian was in the starting rotation, I don't think Ivey would have played any different. I think he would play. He's been playing like this for a reason as of lately. I think he's just finally getting into a groove. But our team as of late when Bogey's not hot, we go down. And
Hmm.
then the off games like the Nets the other night, when Bogey was on the down slope, you had Bay filling in for that spot. Bay had a great game, but tonight he had a good overall quality game.
Hmm.
But it's not jump out of the box score good.
Correct. Yeah.
So, and you take that out, and then who's the next man up after Bogey and Bay? You'd have to say Ivy. Ivy, his stats were there, but he can't do everything. So then
Right.
it would have to be Alec Burks, and Burks couldn't even do everything. So that's why we lost tonight.
Yeah, and we saw Alec Burks get big shots when in the home stretch of the fourth quarter, but when you're not playing or showing up for the three other quarters, it's just too late. You know what I mean? There's
Yeah.
only so much you can do. It was interesting to hear Hamidou Diallo kind of sound off on the post game interview. He mentioned how the team just didn't do the little things correctly. We saw at one point he made mention to the free throw where Kenyon Martin Jr., after the missed free throw, got the bucket, and it was a big momentum play for the Houston Rockets that happened in the home stretch. So, when Hami is kind of sounding off on, hey guys, we're not doing the little things right. The energy wasn't there. That's just not going to cut it. The other thing, the Pistons allowed 16 offensive rebounds tonight. And that's with a Houston Rockets team that, yes, they had Jabari Smith, who's a solid center, but they didn't have their starting center in Sanguine. So it was kind of unfortunate because we
Yeah.
only saw Jalen Duren get 5 rebounds. He started out the first quarter pretty hot. He had 6 points right away, but then finished with 9. And so you're just kind of like, Duren, we want some a little bit more oomph behind in that second half, but we just didn't really see that. And that's gonna happen. He's a rookie, so there's gonna be nights where he just doesn't hit the way he typically does. But it would have been a difference of a game if the Pistons only had allowed around even 8
Yeah.
offensive rebounds, right? I mean, that's just a statistic that stands out, and you're like, ooh, okay, I think that's kind of where it went wrong.
Yeah, and I think that statistic stands out the most because we had our bigs.
Yeah.
Because we had Dern and Stu playing the entire game. The fact that they played the entire game, and even the size of Sadiq Bey and Bogey and Kevin Knox for that matter, the fact that we had all of our size, I mean, Nerlens did not play, and I think that would have helped a little bit, but the fact that we had our normal guys in, it makes it that much worse. Because it's like you're not giving full effort if you're getting out rebounded that bad,
Right.
especially offensively for them, because those are easy rebounds defensively. So the fact that you're getting out rebound when you're on defense, which is the easiest time to get a rebound, that's
Hmm.
not good. And
No.
credit to Houston, because I said this to you earlier today. I said they have great bench players
Hmm.
because they do. Their team is pretty much all bench players. They have a couple studs. They have a good rotation players, but they're not anything special. So when
Right.
you have not anything special type of players going up against your key starters in your normal rotation, that is, it's not good when you're getting out rebounded.
Yeah, agreed. Something that kind of stands out to me looking at the box score, you made mention to Kevin Knox earlier. He had a total of 6 minutes in the game, but he had 6 points and 2 for 2 from the 3-point line. I wish Casey would take a note of that because he's only in there so long, but then makes his 2 buckets. Why not give him anything in the second half? It's just kind of surprising to me. Kevin Knox is a momentum guy. When he's got his shot falling, he keeps it rolling that game. He might not follow it up the following, but that game he's typically on it. So I would have liked to have seen a little bit of a stint of play from Kevin Knox in the second half. I mean, we're playing the Houston Rockets for Pete's sake. It's not like we're trying to make a playoff run. Just give Knox a couple minutes here and there. Sadiq Bey, like you were saying, didn't have a big game. Why not give Kevin Knox some of Sadiq's minutes? I don't know. I just would have liked to see a little bit more from him when he has a start like 2 for 2
Yeah.
from the 3-point line.
The only thing I could think of as to why he wasn't playing more is that he might have a minutes restriction going on right now. That's the only thing I can think of
Right.
because and when he's given these opportunities and he actually takes it, he's
Yeah.
amazing. But then we don't see him for the rest of the game. And I'm just trying to understand why. I think we definitely need to take a deep dive into that and figure out why. But
Hmm.
I don't know because he does what he's supposed to do when he gets the opportunity, and then he just don't see him for the rest of the game. So I would have loved to see him get more minutes tonight because he's a top tier talent. He's not like, oh, he's a star, or he's not even at all-star caliber, but he has the potential to be an all-star caliber player someday. He's still
Yeah.
really young. So give him minutes if he's starting off like that. But even if you don't, yeah, Isaiah Livers had a good, solid game. I will say this about Livers. He has not been playing to the level he did last year this
Hmm.
season. Granted, he's been injured, but that could be a main contribute to why. Uh, I don't necessarily know what's going on with him currently because you could say his shoulder's still bugging him, but 2 for 6 shooting and then 1 for 4 from three, that's not normal Isaiah Livers.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think he's about 4, 5, 6 games back from his injury. So, we're starting to get into the territory of, okay, he's had time to get comfortable. He had a big time dunk earlier in, like, I think the early third quarter. So that was nice to see him kind of get some confidence. But then about 2 minutes later in the game, he was taken out. So I think we're kind of seeing a pattern here from Dwayne Casey of it doesn't really matter if these guys are on a run offensively. If he thinks the rotation needs to be in the works, he's taking them out no matter what.
Yeah.
So with Isaiah, it's kind of unfortunate for him because he's not necessarily in the best situation as far as team roster wise,
Yep.
because there is a guy like Sadiq Bey who's very similar in playing style, and Sadiq's been around a couple more years and kind of has a little more oomph behind his game. So I think he's always going to be kind of behind uh, Sadiq Bey's shadow a little bit. So it's not like it's the best situation for him as far as that. Sadiq Bey is pretty much the role Isaiah Livers is. So they're basically, in my head, they're kind of like the same play
Yeah.
style wise. I think Livers might be a little bit better off the dribble, but so that's hard to see. But I think we need to let it marinate a little bit. Maybe he's
Yep.
just the type that needs to get to the All-Star break, have a couple weeks off of just in the gym going all out in practice. And I think that's kind of what our team needs is just to
Yeah.
get to the All-Star break, because I think that's kind of what we're seeing here with
Hmm.
throwing up a loss to the Houston Rockets. These guys have been going hard. Their energy's been a little bit low these last like 3 games. It wasn't too bad against the Nets, but we saw the Milwaukee Bucks them just get starstruck. So I think that the Pistons just need to get to the All-Star break, take that break, and then hopefully come back and win a couple of games to get us towards the end of the season, get us one step closer to Victor Wembanyama.
Oh yeah. I love him. But yeah, I would agree. I think we need a break because we've been going at it nonstop lately, and you can tell, like just in this game alone, how tired everybody was. And
Yeah,
it wasn't even like it was the fourth quarter when you were noticing. It wasn't the third quarter when you were noticing. It was the first, second quarters when you were noticing, and that's not good. You can't start off a game sluggish and expect to win
yeah,
unless you somehow flip a switch at halftime. That just the likelihood of that happening is very slim. But yeah, I think we need a break because it's been a little on the rough side of things, given the matchups we've been having too. Not just how many games we're having in a row. It's more of like who are we playing against? Because you have Milwaukee, then you have Brooklyn, and then yeah, we have Houston, but that's Houston, they're still gonna go out there and try to win. It's not like they're just gonna expect to lose the game and not try. Houston's gonna try no matter what, especially when
right.
you have a young rookie in Jabari Smith who likes to work his tail off, and then you have Kenyon Martin Jr. and Tari Eason. all of those guys want to work their tails off every night. So
Right.
of course they're gonna come into Detroit and expect to win, but that's not an excuse for us being sluggish.
Yeah, and a guy that on the Pistons you can always expect not to be sluggish is Hamidou Diallo, like I made mention is in his post conference interview. So Hamidou Diallo tonight had a great game. I was happy the way he played. He always has been bringing out those energy plays this last, like really this season. Those first couple weeks of the season, he wasn't playing too much, but ever since he's been getting consistent minutes, has been playing real well. His stat line tonight was 15 points, 1 assist, 2 rebounds, 5 for 9 shooting on 19 minutes played. I mean, he's just an energy guy, and I said it last week, when are we going to see Hamidou get some starter minutes? I'm kind of interested to see if he is going to get a look at the starting lineup soon because he just really has been playing well. Him and Bojan are like the two most consistent guys this season.
Yeah.
And shout out Hamidou Diallo because he's finally finding that consistency. That's always been his question mark. And he's finally found that game in, game out. He's going to bring that energy. He's going to go. He had 5 steals tonight also that I didn't make mention to. So, I mean, hey, he's being proficient, which years past was never what he was known for. And he's getting buckets. He's getting and ones. He's not rushing his layups like we've seen him do before. He used to kind of be known for missing layups here and there. He had an and one layup earlier in the game. So I just really like his play. Honestly, without Cade Cunningham, Hamidou Diallo is probably like my top 3 favorite players on the Detroit Pistons. I really like Hamidou.
I can see that. Yeah, given his age and how young he still is, he's
Mhm.
definitely taking on the vet role. And I'm very happy to see that because he is a vet compared to most of the guys. He's a vet compared to Killian, Isaiah Livers, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren. He's a vet compared to all of them.
Right.
So the fact that he's finally stepping into more of like a, hey, I'm a vet, I gotta act like one role, that's fun to see because we were mentioning this in a couple episodes earlier. We need somebody that wants to say something and be vocal about it. And we haven't had that with anybody on our team. And then you have Hami literally post game in an interview call out the team and say, we need to be better.
Yeah.
So I'm very appreciative for that because when you don't take accountability and you decide to push it off, it does not look good. And then on top of that, it's more of like, are they even gonna try?
Yeah.
Because then you question that. But the fact that Hami is like, yeah, we need to do better. We can't play like this. I love that.
Me too. Our team needs more of that because even Cade Cunningham, I do think he's a leader behind the scenes, but he'd get in the press conferences a lot and kind of have all those cookie cutter answers. And there are guys on teams that need to be like that, but there's also a role for a guy like Hamidou Diallo to come out and call out his team and be like, hey, we didn't step it up in these aspects. And that's what we have to address in practice. So I definitely respect that. Every team needs that kind of guy to be successful. And teams like the Golden State Warriors have that with Draymond Green and Marcus Smart with the Boston Celtics and Chris Paul with the Phoenix Suns. So we see that on successful teams. You don't always just need those cookie cutter answers. You also need the guys that are going to call out their team and say, hey, we need to get better at this. So, any last takeaways for today's Revved Up recap, Ryan?
Shout out to Alec Burks. I meant, yeah. Shout out to Alec Burks. He had a
Right,
good
right.
game. I was gonna
Yeah.
shout out Eric Gordon. That's who I was gonna say.
Okay.
Because Eric Gordon did have a great game, and he is one
Yeah,
of my
dude.
favorite guys. So
Yeah, I'm not surprised he tore us up.
yeah, I'm not either. He literally had the ball in his hands the entire game.
Yeah, and you know what's kind of funny? And I'm a fan of Eric Gordon too, but he kind of looks like the guy that's going to tear you up at the local
Yeah,
YMCA. You know what I mean? Like he just looks like that guy that's going to go and get you buckets on that 5-and-5, 5-on-5 at the YMCA. But I think he's a bucket getter for sure. I would love to have him on the Pistons, to be
oh,
honest.
for sure.
Yeah, I'd definitely get an Eric Gordon jersey and
I would.
teal.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that would look good. Weaver, make a move right now.
Yeah, make a move, Weaver. Make a move.
Don't
So
send
that
any players, but send some picks.
right, right. Well, especially if the Rockets get Wembanyama, I mean, we'll do
Yeah,
whatever it takes. We'll
yeah.
trade our whole team.
I wouldn't go that far.
Okay, okay, okay. Well, that's what the GM when Magic Johnson was getting drafted back during the Bad Boys era, right before the Bad Boys era. The our GM, the Pistons GM, was like, "I will trade anybody for Magic Johnson. I'll trade the whole team. It does not
Yeah.
matter."
It
So
would have been a
that'll do.
smart move.
Hey, it's Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
But that'll do it for today's Revved Up recap. We just broke down the Houston Rockets versus the Detroit Pistons. That final score was 117, 114 in the Houston favor. Before we wrap up today's episode, make sure to go follow us on Instagram, revved.up906. We are constantly posting clips, debate topics, over and under posts. You can also find us on TikTok at revved.up906. And shout out Grind Clothing Co. And episode 12 just came out today. So you can watch that episode if you go to our channel. We broke down Killian Hayes, how he's been playing. We talked about the Paris game. We talk about some trade rumors that aren't very possible, but we broke it down for you. And if we're worried about the Detroit Pistons with Killian Hayes in their future. And then we also talked about what happened at the Paris game. What's that works behind the mind of Killian Hayes when he's having those struggles. So you can go watch episode 12, and we will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.